Hey everybody, I'm Amanda with DevExpress and welcome to What's New in 17.1 for VCL, presented by DevExpress CTO Julian Bucknall. This session is being recorded and it will be made available on our DevExpress YouTube channel. We will also do a live Q&A at the end of this presentation. Just type your questions in the GoToWebinar control panel at any time throughout the broadcast. All right, thank you so much for joining us. I will now hand things over to Julian.
Thank you, Amanda, and welcome everybody to What's New in version 17.1 of VCL. And as Amanda said, if you've got any questions, do please enter them into the questions panel. I do believe I have pretty much the whole VCL team in the background ready to answer them as we go through. But if there are some other ones or we want to emphasize something, then I am ready to do that at the end. So what's new in 17.1? VCL. So lots of smaller improvements this time. There's no new controls. But when I say smaller improvements, I actually mean they're quite important. There are some interesting improvements inside the controls this time around, and I should be showing some of those off in a moment. But for the grid, for example, that we've improved the way your users can select rows, multiple rows, and we persist that row selection across the board. Map control, I love the map control, but some new projections for the map control, and also the ability to do asynchronous zooming, which is a sight to see. PDF viewer, continue to improve that. This time round we have searching and the highlighting of text, of found text. Spreadsheet, you can now put rich text inside your cells. Eek. Rich edit control, we now have added the save to doc format. We've already had RTF and docx, but now we can save to doc itself. So if you have some of those old Word installs on some of your users' machines, fret not, we can now produce doc files. Export library, along the same lines, we can export rich text format as part of the export from various controls. I'll be talking about that in a minute. Lookup editors, incremental filtering, great new feature. Just basically you have a lookup editor, which is a drop down with a nice list, and you start typing the thing you're looking for, the text you're looking for, and will automatically filter the results in the list. There's something I can't demonstrate over GoToMeeting. I am sorry. It's high DPI scaling improvements. In other words, if you have, like I have here, a screen with high dots per inch DPI, I can't remember now. We help you scale your forms and the content of the forms to suit that display without getting the jaggies, without it looking weird. There's been a lot of improvements in that area. It's actually per monitor as well, as I look at my notes. So if you have 3 monitors or whatever the heck, all high DPI, all the editors, for example, except for the lookup editor, ribbons and toolbars, layout control, docking library, the gauge control, spell checker, skins library. I mean, we've added this ability to recognize high DPI on a per monitor basis to those controls and hence to your applications. And of course, that list of supported controls will be increased or made larger over the next few releases. Along with that, we have support for SVG images. We're slowly replacing the images that we serve with SVG. Again, if you don't know about SVG, scalar vector graphics, look it up. They're used on the web a lot these days, SVG images. And we're adding that same facility to your VCL applications. Basically, it removes those horrible jaggies you get with just a bitmap image for your icons and things like that. And there have been various improvements to the layout control as well. A couple of other big new features are, well, one is the ability to actually install our product from the command line, and we provide a set of options you can use to, have a non-attended install, shall we say. So please try that out if you're interested. The command line requires you to accept the EULA, but apart from that, you can just put whatever you like in there. So whether you want to install the demos or the help or whatever, then we have that as part of the setup. Or just like me, I prefer just running the install and answering the various questions. And also a new option for the install is to install either 32-bit only or 32-bit and 64-bit. So if you're into if you're just into 32-bit, then have at it. Just install for 32-bit only. But if you're like a lot of people, you're moving all your applications. I've been talking to various people who've been doing that, and there are some issues with 64-bit when you're migrating a 32-bit app, but we now give you the opportunity to either just install for a smaller install 32-bit only, or both 32 and 64-bit. And along those lines, it was interesting to hear from Apple yesterday about their ideas for iOS 11, which is going to be 64-bit only. So I think the writing is definitely on the wall. Get to 64-bit now with your applications and so on. As usual, a gentle reminder. DevExpress VCL 17.1 is for RAD Studio 2010 or later only, and the rich edit needs XC or XC+. And if you're 64-bit C++ builder, XC8+. Now, I'm going to issue a warning here. I do it every time, and somehow we manage to keep on going. Look at that date, RAD Studio 2010. This is a 7-year-old IDE and a 7-year-old compiler or compilers. 7 years. We've moved on in those 7 years. You've moved on in those 7 years, well, I would hope. It's now 2017. I am not going to guarantee that we will be supporting older versions of RAD Studio. My recommendation really is to use RAD Studio Tokyo 10.2. Every release that comes out, I install it. And I'd have to say this, Embarcadero on a really aggressive update cycle. They want to issue updates, what, once a year, twice a year, something like that. I mean, the last one was Linux, which we're not supporting, but it's not only the aggressive updates they're doing, it's also the aggressive sales techniques they're doing. You don't have to pay full price for RAD Studio, really. Just wait a week or two and there'll be some kind of deal. So I think just recently, I think it ended on Sunday, you could get 25-30% off RAD Studio Professional, for example. So my recommendation is to please keep up. Yeah, the first time you try and keep up, it's going to be a mess, but do please support the latest version of Delphi or C++ Builder. They are doing a lot of work. FireMonkey. No, there's no FireMonkey support in this release. We continue to debate the issue internally. The latest thought on the subject is we'd like to do it. It's going to be a separate suite. There's no way it's going to be bundled as part of the VCL subscription. After all, it's not VCL. FireMonkey, we've got various experiments. We've got some code converted. I would have to say it's going to be desktop, but it may also be mobile. We're debating whether to continue with it to release a FireMonkey suite in the future. So for 17.1, no, there is no FireMonkey support. But 17.2, I don't know. Just lock the team in a room and see what they come up with, maybe. I don't know. Feed them through the door. I don't know. We'll see. As I say, we continue to debate the issue. I don't want to be too humorous about this. It's a difficult question because if we do FireMonkey, then there's going to be less support for VCL. There'll be less improvements of VCL. After all, we have a Delphi team, if you like, and they'll only be able to do one thing at a time. So be aware that more FireMonkey means less VCL. So without further ado, let's do some fun stuff. Oh, it's on the other screen, of course. Okay, so what we have here is the new style of row selection. Have you noticed what we have here? We have a grid, and we're displaying a group within that grid by company. Here we are, the company group. And each row has the ability to be selected individually via a checkbox. And we're adding that checkbox to the data row. And we're also adding it to the group row. So I can basically click, select the entire set of rows within that group, or deselect the entire set of rows within that group. And the same with this column header. I can select basically every single row in this grid. So I can start clearing. And as you notice, as I clear or check the various checkboxes, the icon within the checkbox on a higher level, if you like, turns into a some are, some aren't. This is one of those features really easier to see than explain. And as you can see, it's a very nifty way of selecting rows within your application. And notice as I move up and down, the selection maintains with the cursor, so I'm not losing any selections. So easy way for your users to select or deselect a row, a whole group or all rows with simple clicks. We can actually have it as an extra. It's not really a column per se. The columns are here, but this is more of a selection via what we call an indicator on the side. So open it up to deselect and so on and so forth. Or as I said before, you can have it within the first column as we add it to the first column. So that's the new web style row selection, as we're calling it. Next, I am going to move over to the map control. And here, we've added some new projections. So I do apologize. Everything is going to come up on the wrong screen, but we'll continue. So here we have a nice little animation of, I don't know how well this is doing on GoToWebinar, but we have some various other projections now. So to be honest, I am not an expert in map projections, but some of these are pretty fun, I must admit. Next one I want to show off is the ability to do asynchronous zooming. The big problem with map controls is they have to get their data from somewhere online, somewhere in the cloud. And so that takes time. So as you're zooming in, so what I'm going to use here is my mouse wheel. So I'm going to quickly zoom into roughly where the DevExpress offices are. So here I am, I zoom, and I still have full control of the map, but the map tiles are going to be coming in as and when, asynchronously. I'm not locking out the user while I go and find the map tiles. I am, in fact, giving the user more control over the display without having to wait for something to refresh. And I think that's an important aspect to a map control. If you're using Google Maps Online, for example, you don't wait around for the tiles to appear. You can zoom in and out ad infinitum. And so the same feature has been added to the map control in VCL. We released it as a CTP, I think it's 16.1. We finally released it in 16.2. In 16.3, what we have now is the ability to do searching within the PDF file. Let me just find another. Actually, before I do that, there's a couple of other things. This is only if you are creating PDFs which require things like JPEG support, JPEG 2000 support. We've added that to the viewer. JBig2 is also added. Again, very technical stuff. Type are, but they appear in PDFs a lot, and so we now support them. Let me just open up another PDF file here. Wow, when am I going over here for? Let me. Let's do it from this one. I can't find that particular PDF. Of course, it's on my virtual machine. So I'm going to search for the letters PDF here. So let me click find here, search for PDF. And this is, there we go. So here we are, we're seeing PDF, and we're highlighting other occurrences of the letters PDF. So I can skip from next to next, and notice how the highlighting works in the way you'd expect it to work within this PDF as I'm doing the search. And given that we have this ability to highlight matches on the search, we also now have the ability to display highlighting within the PDF itself. The PDF had some highlighting. I don't believe this particular PDF has highlighting with it. No, it does not. But notice, even in this Type 3 font, we're spotting, I want to continue saying the letters, but I want to say the word PDF. The word PDF. So PDF viewer highlighting as well as searching is available. Let's jump over to the spreadsheet control now. Another favorite control here, without question from the feedback we get, is the spreadsheet control. Now, this time around, since we found that developers tend to use the spreadsheet and the Rix text editor in an Office-like application, they're both there. Did I click on it? No. There we go. What we've done with this particular control now is to add the ability to create rich text inside the cell itself. And for some reason, let me just kill that. Here it comes. We've added the ability to, as I say, have rich text inside a cell. So here I have some spreadsheet or other. It's been one of our demos for a little while now. So let's open this up, and I'm going to make this bold. So here we are, we're seeing the ability to now have rich text within the cells themselves. So if I don't know, change this to italics and underline, let's make Vader Enterprises. We can, no, we have to do it up here, don't I? Appearance, no, I don't want appearance. I'm not. Why have I, no, I don't know. Because I'm looking in the wrong place. Let's change. So we got Vader Enterprises here, and I'm going to change that font to something else. Oh, let's make it copper black. No, Gothic bold, because we can. There we go. Good Lord. Having mouse problems as well as everything else. So we have the ability now to create rich text inside ourselves. We have bold, we have italics, we have underline, superscripts or subscripts. We have different fonts, as I try to show you there, and they're all supported within a cell. If you don't actually want this ability, it's really easy to turn off. All you have to do is unload the corresponding package and remove the DX spreadsheet formatted text utils unit from the uses clause. That's it. It's that easy. It's no more rich text inside the cells, and your app is then smaller to deploy because we're not shipping along the rich editor along with the spreadsheet. So you can either have it, as this demo has, or not. And so that's the rich text within the spreadsheet. Now, talking of rich text, the rich edit control can now save your document in the older Microsoft Word doc format alongside the oh, here it is, alongside docx and alongside RTF. So if I grow this here, so I can now do a save as here, and the default is, hang on a minute, let me drag it window over, and the default is docx, but I can change this to doc. Now if I go over here and type in, I don't know, test doc, yeah, why not? Let's add it to my documents folder. And now I can open up my documents folder and where are we? Test doc, there it is. So that's the one I can open up inside Word. Now I don't know where that's going to appear. So here it is. It just appeared. And, you know, as you can see, pretty faithful rendition of the original demo page there. So that's the ability. Again, we've made this feature optional. You can either remove or add the relevant units and packages to your app, which will disable or enable saving to, for example, docx, doc, or HTML. Details are in the help. Because we love rich text, we've improved the exporting library to export rich text context. Unfortunately, I can't demo this because it's on the virtual machine, which might be running still. What's it doing? No, it's still running over there. So we'll ignore that. And in fact, I better hide that because it'll confuse. Go to webinar. So our exporting library will now export rich text from the grid, the tree list and vertical grid to XLS, XLSX and HTML. Here's a one that I was doing earlier as I was experimenting or practicing this particular webinar. I had a tree list application, and this is what was exported. And as you can see, here we are in Excel. This is what the tree list looked like as an application. And as you can see, I'm exporting images. I have this wonderful rich text cell here with italic, bold, and so on and so forth, Comic Sans, and so on. As you can see, this is a XLSX document. I'm in Excel now, and that's what the window looked like on the demo application, which I can't show you because Windows decided to update. So again, this feature, the export to the rich text export, can be enabled, disabled by adding or removing a particular unit in your application and the relevant editors. The relevant packages, I should say. The reason I said editors is because I'm going to quickly open up the Lookup Editors and bring it over. So what we have here is, let's go down to the Lookup Editor. So what we have here is a nice Lookup Editor, shows the grid, and we can scroll through the grid. But I really just want to see the words or the names that begin with S. I've got all those. Maybe an A. So I just see the SA entries there. If I type in M, I can just see the ones that begin with SAM. And as you see, the list changes. It's automatically filtered to show only those rows that partially match the entered text. So as you saw, I started with S, A, M, A, and I, if you like, drill down into that list to zero in on the row I actually wanted. And with that, that's the end of the demos that I wanted to show today. I do apologize again for the problems with my virtual machine and the update. So Amanda, are you still there, or did you run off?
I am still here.
Excellent.
I thought about it. I thought about ditching the whole thing.
No, we can't do that.
We did have a couple questions come in. We did the earlier one about the DPI scaling. Right. There was a question about, are you going to make available any more controls for .NET Core? Specifically XAF for .NET Core, which...
Well, it's not really a VCL
off topic.
But, off topic. But yes, not just moving over to the .NET space just for a moment. Yes, we're going to be increasing the number of controls and so on, frameworks we have for .NET Core. As to how quickly they'll appear in XAF, that's a discussion for the XAF team later. But in general, yes.
Rob had a question about why did you mention the next version of iOS to Embarcadero coders if you're not looking at FireMonkey?
The reason I basically talked about iOS is to emphasize the fact that 64-bit seems to be a market-wide target. We've had 64-bit on Windows. I run 64-bit Windows here. I don't create 32-bit applications anymore. .NET, of course, is .NET, runs 64-bit. And I was just basically saying that iOS is the next operating system which is going to be 64-bit only. So my intent, if you like, was to say you've got to start really thinking about getting onto 64-bit. And our VCL product works in 64-bit, obviously. And that's all I was saying. Yes, I agree we're not supporting FireMonkey. So with regard to specifically Delphi coders, does it matter if they're not on 64-bit? Not really, but I'm not, well, is it Windows 10 App Store 64-bit only now? I can't remember. But it's just basically to say, you ought to get on 64-bit.
Let's see. What proportion, I don't know if you, what proportion of your development efforts are spent on VCL? Do you know?
That's a difficult question. We have a fairly large team for VCL, and that's all they do. We have, similar sized teams for doing ASP.NET, for example, or WinForms, and so on and so forth. VCL is a product line for DevExpress and continues to be a product line for DevExpress, and the VCL team just do VCL.
Okay.
And the team includes things like support and technical writing and documentation and all that kind of stuff.
Right. From Willem, the filter lookup. Is it possible to select an item by pressing enter? If you start to type until there's just one item left and then press enter, it should select the item.
Good question. Let's try it. I don't know. So data editors, let's jump back over there. Unfortunately, I closed the app. And here it is on the other screen, of course. And jump down to Lookup Editor. Okay, so who have we got? Let me find John Hart. So oh, there he is. Press enter. Yeah, it's selected automatically. There's only one, John Hart. Whereas if I type on, gets selected automatically. So so Sammy is now the only one. So if I press enter, that's the one that gets selected. Woo! Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And just looking at the questions here. Rob says, why did you chastise people for wanting an older version of the IDE if you're not supporting FireMonkey, which has been around for how long? We've moved on, as you said. I will actually say that if we do support FireMonkey, it will only be for the latest version of the IDE. And the latest version. We are not going back to FireMonkey version 1, which we absolutely hated. So yes, if we do FireMonkey, it will only be for the latest version. It will not go back to Berlin or Seattle or XE8 or wherever.
He says, yes, but let's get FireMonkey.
I understand, Rob. I get what you're saying. It's good feedback. And if you remember, we did do a survey mid last year or something like that. We had a lot of feedback from people saying, do FireMonkey, do FireMonkey. And it's one of those debates that we have continually every time. And we just released... didn't even say this. We released 17.1 at the end of last week, so it is available from the download center. And of course, now we're in the decision phase about what we're doing for 17.2. And FireMonkey will come up again, I'm sure.
I'm sure it will. All right, well, that looks like all the questions.
Okay, let me just remove this. And thank you again, everybody, for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Julian. All right. Like I mentioned before, today's webinar edited version will be available on our DevExpress YouTube channel for you to watch again or share. And I will post the link to our channel in the chat box right now. And that is it for this one. Thank you so much to Julian. Thank you all for joining us. And of course, thank you for choosing DevExpress. Bye-bye.